Welcome friends back to Joyful Homestead. You joined us for the second part of a 3-part video on garden planning. Today is all about the when. So the 3 big questions we wanted to ask with the garden planning video series was what to plant, when to plant, and where to plant it. So thinking about the when, I'm looking at these daffodils next to me, and what's inside that bulb makes it know exactly when it is supposed to come up in the spring. But when it comes to our veggies in the gardens, we have to be the ones to know exactly when do you plant either the seeds or the starts. So let's start this conversation right now. We're so excited to be back here with the second question that Dan had on a list of important questions when planning your garden. So let's recap the first one just real quick.
Yep. The first video was the question of what. Basically, what do I grow? Deciding what to grow, and other questions like what do I like to eat, and what is the purpose of my garden? Different things like that, just to get people thinking about what their garden is supposed to look like in their mind. And it's really a neat open-ended question because you can really create it after your, after your own imagination.
Sure, and start to choose right away either what seeds are you going to buy or what starts are you going to buy soon. And then we move on to the when question, because that's obviously the next important thing to know. Once you've chosen what you're going to plant, when do you do it? And that depends so much on where you live and what things that you want to grow in the cool and warm seasons.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, our last video, we ended up starting our video in a snowstorm. And then today, here it is, almost 70 degrees outside, and it's not that many days later. It's amazing how spring is, and it's this way throughout the country. You can be 30 degrees one day, and you can be 90 degrees another day. So it's difficult to get a read on it. I would love to just put seeds in the ground right now, but that would be the worst thing to do, because I know that in a week it's going to be in the 20s again at night, and those seeds won't survive that.
Yeah.
So
we can't get overly anxious and think, oh, this is it, because things go back down in temperatures. They fluctuate for a while before they really settle into the right spring temperatures.
Yeah.
So we've got to know the when and really stick with it.
There are averages, and each part of the country is a growing zone. And in the last video, we talked about going on and Googling your zip code and finding a growing zone map and finding what growing zone you are, because when you find your growing zone, then you know what your first frost date in the fall is, and you know when your last frost date in the spring is. And that's important to know, because with cool weather vegetables, even though they're frost hardy, they're not freeze hardy. And so you can't plant these things just all exposed in January. They won't germinate at all. So the first hurdle to cross, I guess, is to find your frost dates.
I think that brings us to the next important subtopic, so to speak, the frost dates and the freeze dates, because Dan spends an awful lot of time calculating those out very carefully, and those are very important things to know, the difference between them and how you go about building a timeline from those.
Right, yeah. In fact, what we'll do here during the video is we'll start putting up a visual for you to see a timeline of the year. And it will be a kind of a nice visual for you to see what we're talking about. But the difference between a freeze date and a frost date, your last freeze date and your last frost date at the spring, is this. Freeze dates are your last date average. Again, it's all average. That the temperature at night will get low enough to kill plants, even frost hardy plants. Typically we say, if the weather gets, down into the 20s, then you're in the kind of the danger zone, except for things like kale and some things like that can survive.
Yeah.
But the last freeze date is really important to know. And then your last frost date is typically about 2 to 3 weeks after that. For us, it's about 17 days after that date. And that's the date in which you get your last frost. In other words, nighttime temperatures after that don't get below 32 degrees at night, and you're kind of in the safe zone there. That's important to know. Let me add some dates for our zone. Now remember, this isn't for every zone. If you live farther north, they'll be later in the year. If you live farther south, they'll be far closer to February even, and maybe non-existent if you live in South Florida. But Our last kill freeze date is March 20th. All right, and then I would feel comfortable after that to start planting my cool weather seeds. That's the 79th day of the year. We're in math land now.
It's very specific, isn't it?
I know you don't like math land very much, but we're going to be doing a lot of math
It's
land.
okay.
For some of you, it might be the 90th day of the year, it might be the 60th day of the year, but the point that I'm trying to get is that at some point, there's an average day that is rather safe to start planting your cool weather plants and seeds. And then you have a couple of risky weeks, and then our last frost date average is April 6th. And that's 17 days later, as I said, and that's like a national holiday for me because that means that all bets are off, and I can get some plants growing, and they're going to be germinating really fast at that point.
Exciting,
Yeah.
very exciting. So we're going to put up right now our timeline because we want you to start to build your own timeline. What is your freeze date and what is your frost date in the springtime for where you live in what zone? Okay, now hopefully you've got your timeline filled out or you've got some ideas of dates in your head so that you can kind of walk through this process with us. So we've passed the freeze date.
And the frost date.
Then we've passed the frost date and we're into the exciting time. So what should the person be thinking about or doing next?
Okay, well, going back to math land, we want to calculate our cool weather season. What that means is the amount of time that you have to grow these plants. Cool weather plants tend to thrive between 50 and 75 degrees. And there are some places in the country where the temperature in the spring ramps up very quickly and gets very hot. Not to say that plants can't grow at 85 or 90 degrees, but they're going to start struggling. They're not going to thrive. There's going to be more risk of bolting out for some plants like lettuce and different things like that. There is more chance for pests and disease to take over. So if you can stay within that sweet spot of 50 to 75 degrees, that needs to be most of your growing season. So what you look for, and you can go on weather.com or an almanac online and just go in and look at the daily temperatures for your May, June, April, May, June timeframe, and find the first days that start hitting 85 degrees. By then, you should have already started harvesting or finished harvesting your spring garden. And then you can work backwards and say, okay, what's my growing season? So for me, I can probably safely go up to June 15th. There's some struggling of some lettuces and things like that at that point, some bolting out of my radish, different things like that. So I know there's going to be some things that are going to need to be harvested earlier. But April 6th to June 15th is just about 90 days. I have a 3-month growing period.
That's a good window.
Yeah, and then at that point, all I have to do, and what you should do, is if you know your growing season, then go ahead and look at your seed packet, or go online and find out the starts that you just purchased, what their growing season to maturity is. And if it's 45 days, then that means you can do 2 plantings of that plant. If it's 75 days, and a lot of lettuce is 75 days, you can start harvesting at 60 to 70 days, and you have 1 good planting, or you can stagger your plantings and do 1-2 weeks after the first one and have 2 rows or something like that.
Which you often do.
Yeah, you have a lot more quantity that way. But basically, then you've got that amount of time to play with, so you know what you can do. Radishes are a great example of one that's fun because their growing season is like 30 days. So I can do radishes 3 different times in 3 different beds if I want, or back to back in the same bed. That's really fun to do. That's what you should do. So go ahead right now and calculate what your cool weather growing season is.
We're taking a quick intermission in our discussion for me to tell you about a few possible resources that would really help you with this topic. So first is our favorite book here at this farm. It is called The Backyard Homestead. I'm going to put a link in the description below. It is virtually an encyclopedia of information that we use to help us with our gardening and various different homesteading topics. So check that out. And then if you are the type that really loves apps, they help keep you organized, they give you notifications, check out the various planting apps that there are. We just started using Seed Time. We don't have enough experience with it for me to tell you anything one way or the other about it, but we do have a friend who loves it so far, and we've been excited to think about the possibility of an app helping us keep track of what it is that we're doing, when the planting times are and the harvesting times, and so forth. So If an app is for you, check out what's available. Part of the fun is getting to that place where your cool vegetables are starting to come ripe and ready to harvest, but you're planting your summer vegetables. So there is a lot going on at once. And we have quite a bit of that here in our zone. So let's talk about that a little bit.
There is a little bit of overlap. That's a good question, because when you start your summer garden, and a lot of people say Mother's Day is a great time to start your summer garden, and that typically is for a lot of the country is around the time frame.
Okay.
Plant your tomatoes and your peppers and your eggplants. Sweet potatoes actually can go in a little later than that because they like it really hot. But most of those things that you would consider summer vegetables would be like a middle of May type of scenario. And at that point, like you said, you're starting to harvest all of your spring vegetables. If you need to use those beds, then you may delay your summer vegetables, or you may pull your spring ones earlier.
That's a good point. If you don't have the space, you may have to pick and choose. But if you have the space, we're very blessed to have that. You can kind of have a lot going on at once.
That's right, exactly. And the nice thing about summer is that summer isn't really dependent on temperature on the cool side. It's more dependent on temperature on the hot side and water and sunshine. Real important, and we'll get into this more in the third video where we talk about where. But when you're talking about the summer plants, you don't want them to be in the 98-degree beating sun type of days. Even things like peppers really struggle when they have a lot of that sun. They need a little break, they need a little shade. So thinking about that, thinking about plenty of water. If you live in a watery climate, then you won't have to do as much watering. If you live in more of an arid area of the country, then you have to consider that as well. But the nice thing about the summer vegetables is they just go until they die at the frost in the fall. I've had tomatoes I've been picking. Last year we picked tomatoes in the middle of November, didn't we?
That was awesome.
And we couldn't believe it. And so I let them ride, and that's a really good scenario for that. But we do need to talk a little bit about the fall schedule as well. So let's think now, after summer has been planted and it's being harvested, and maybe some of it has already left the beds because you've done all the harvesting. Now we need to think about the fall schedule.
Okay. So I think what we should do right now is put back up the graphic we put in the first video about cool weather vegetables and warm weather vegetables, because then if you start to talk about fall, you're going back to cool weather vegetables.
They're the
so
almost
we're
exact
put that
same.
up. I'm going to put that up right now. You've been able to look at that list now for a moment with the cool and warm weather vegetables, and so let's just actually focus completely on the fall, because we've gone over your spring, your summer, and then the fall is also a wonderful time if you're in the right zone to grow a lot of things then. So we're going to add that to your timeline, and so let's head to fall.
Okay. So in the fall, you're really re-engineering the same things that you did in the spring, only backwards. You're thinking you're working back from December 31st. And so when you know your zone, it'll give you a first frost and a first freeze date, just like it gives you a last frost and a last freeze date in the spring. So your first frost date is going to be somewhere probably around 60 to 70 days before the end of the year. Ours is October 22nd. That's the average. And again, if you live farther north, it's going to be earlier. If you live farther south, it'll be later or non-existent. And then you've got 2 weeks after that until you see things really killed off with freeze. You can extend seasons, and we're not going to talk about that in this video, with hoops or grow houses, different things like that. But let's keep in mind that we want to have a season a cool weather season that ends before the first frost, or at least before the first freeze. What do?
For sure.
We count 90 days. Whatever that cool weather season was at the beginning, you can apply that to the end. So for us, if we take October 22nd and we back all the way up around 90 days, we're in the August 11th time frame. So the second week of August, I should be thinking about planting my cool weather seeds or starts. There are some risks to doing this, and that is you have different issues with the cool weather now in the middle of summer. You have to protect them a little bit, keep them watered, make sure they don't dry out, because they're used to cool weather. But if you grow them from seeds, those seedlings are actually really hardy, and when they're hitting their time when they want to thrive and really push up out of the ground, the weather should have started cooling off a bit, and you'll see some really good yields there. I love the fall garden because it's more consistent temperature-wise in the fall than in the spring.
And the bugs start to go away, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I've grown squash late in the season, and I've grown some things that get a lot of bugs in the fall. They're cool weather vegetables, and just offsetting them from the time the bugs expect the plants to be there versus the time they actually are in the garden really makes a difference. You can actually avoid a lot of that pestilence that way, for sure.
Wonderful. Okay, so is there anything you want to just touch on as we wrap up this, helping them understand the timeline, the timing of your zone, the cool season, the warm season, back to the cool season? Anything we want to say that we need to wrap up?
I think just making sure temperature is number one priority, not to kill with frost, not to kill with heat. Second thing, about the when is your water schedule, and that really does depend on your part of the country. You might be in a microclimate that's drier, and it might be in a zone that typically you could plant at a different time, but because you're in a microclimate and you have an arid area or a very wet area, you have to take that into consideration. And then I think the third thing about the when is different soils actually they react better to different times of the year. If you have a clay soil, for example, and you have a watery time of the year, a wet time of the year, so to speak, you may want to try to delay or avoid your plantings, especially seeds in those areas, because that clay will hold a lot of that water. And that's just one example, but there are other factors. But I think the biggest thing is just seeing this calendar take shape in your mind. And we're going to put that up on the screen right now again, kind of to end the video, because I think seeing ours and then for them to be able to repeat that, yeah, for sure, in their way, will go a long way to answering the second question of when.
We hope that this has been really helpful to think about the when question as you are doing garden planning and what it's going to look like all year. So we wish you a lot of success with it. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments. We love to answer questions about anything that you may be struggling with or be working through and doing this for the first time, because we want to do this journey with you, and we are wishing you all the best.
And if you want to see the third video, which will be the question of where, make sure that you subscribe and hit that little bell, because that will alert you for the next video when it comes out, or any of the other content that we have on our channel. We're excited to have you in our community.
Have a great day.